Philharmonic Hall in Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts. The music you're now hearing is Brahms' Second Symphony, recorded by the Philharmonic Orchestra, conducted by Leonard Bernstein. It was recorded in this hall. The acoustical quality of this hall is the responsibility of one of these three men. What is your name, please?
My name is Leo Bonic.
My name is Leo Baranich.
My name is Leo Bonic.
Only one of these men is the real Leo Bonic. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Sally Ann Howes, Abe Burrows, and Kitty Carlisle. On To Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth, brought to you this week by Anacin, the headache remedy with a special combination of ingredients to relieve pain, fight depression, and calm jittery nerves. Anacin. Abe, welcome to the after-dinner hour. Abe and I have been doing the daytime show all last week, and it's fun to see this side of dinner.
Yeah, it's very, very pleasant. This is when I'm usually out and around the town, you know. But I didn't know people worked this late.
What do you mean? All of your cast on how to succeed in business without trying certainly work this late.
Well, they have to work, you see.
Well, it's great to be tied in with a big hit like that. Panel, how are you all this evening? Everybody fine?
Very well, thank you.
All right, open up your envelopes, which you have never seen before. Take out those affidavit cards for the first time and follow along with me. I, Leo Bonic, am an expert in the field of acoustics, the science of sound. I have traveled all over the world on acoustical problems involving everything from jet aircraft to noisy plumbing, to the General Assembly Hall at the United Nations. We are responsible for the sound quality of the new Philharmonic Hall in New York's Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts. Before the hall opened, we had experimented with various sounds from the stage while we shifted the movable acoustical panels which hang from the ceiling. We filled each of the hall's seats with fiberglass people. We fired off a small cannon. The orchestra played music especially composed and orchestrated as an acoustical test. Although the hall is now acoustically excellent, we do not expect to be able to bring it to its peak of perfection in less than a year. Signed, Leo Bonic. Very well, panel, you heard these three gentlemen, and I heard them too, all claiming to be Leo Bonic, expert on acoustics. Let's start this first round of questioning with Tom Poston. Tom?
Oh, thank you, Bud. Number one, would you tell us, please, is there a sound system in the hall? Is there a system of mechanical projection of sound?
There can be, but not for concerts.
Thank you. Number two, do you have such a system in the hall now?
There is a sound system for speech.
Thank you. Number three, how did you decide which system and which components of that system to use?
Well, on the basis of our past experience.
Thank you. Number one, can you tell me where you got your formal training as an acoustical engineer?
In France.
Oh, thank you. Number two, where did you go to school?
I went to school at Harvard.
And they have...
Sally Ann.
Number one, when you sit in a jet plane, which is the quietest end? The front or
Forward.
the... Forward? Thank you. Number two, how many clouds or panels do you have to adjust the sound in the hall?
136.
Number three, do you agree with that?
Yes, that's right.
Number one, could you tell me the highest degree of noise that the human ear can take?
120 dBs is about the threshold.
Number two?
120 decibels is the point at which one gets uncomfortable.
Number three, do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Oh, well, English school systems.
Abe Burrows.
It doesn't matter how many decibels. If it's your wife talking, you hear it right away. Number two, what is a decibel?
Well, decibel is the measure of the intensity of sound.
But number three, what's the mathematical definition of a decibel?
Well, audible sound ranges from about 0 decibels, which is the lowest noise that a child with acute hearing can hear, up to 120, which is very painful, and some sounds of slightly over 120 decibels can be heard. A jet engine close by goes over that.
Number one, what was the name of Aaron Copland's piece the opening night?
Connotations for orchestra.
Kitty.
Number one, when you worked on the plumbing, what was the noisiest part?
May I ask where?
In the
I mean,
bathroom.
in which building?
Number two, how high can a dog hear?
Well, a dog is supposed to be able to hear up to, maybe twice as many frequencies as an ordinary person.
240, for instance.
Well, an ordinary, you're talking about intensity.
Yes.
He means a high dog.
Yeah. In pitch, I mean 30,000 cycles.
I see. Number three, what was the noisiest thing you had in the plumbing business?
The pipes.
The pipes.
Yes.
What could...
There you are. So quiet the pipes and get to the business of marking your ballots, if you will, please. The pipes of Pan. All right. Mark your ballots. Vote right now without change, if you will, please. And without consultation, of course. It goes without saying. And also mark your ballots for number 1, number 2, or number 3. Team of challengers will get the customary $250 for every incorrect vote. All marked? Okay. Thomas, for whom did you vote?
Well, I voted for number 2. I thought his smile sounded best over here.
Okay. Sally Ann, which one did you choose?
I voted for number 2 for the same reasons.
Abe?
Intelligent reason.
Your vote.
What?
I said your vote.
I voted for number 2 also. I liked his answer on the decibels.
And Kitty.
I voted for number 2. We had a chance for the first time to watch them on a monitor say their names, and I'm always told that the people at home can judge who they are by the way they say their names, and I thought number 2 said his name with most assurance.
Let's go home.
The highest number of decibels. All right, let's go to it then, shall we? We've got our votes all in. We've given reasons for it. Whether you care to accept them or not is entirely up to you. But let's see how close to the truth they bring us as we learn right now which one of these gentlemen is the real expert on acoustics. So will the real Leo Bonic please stand up? Oh, you smart people. I have to tell you, Abe has been having the same kind of luck with the daytime panel.
What do you mean, luck?
I don't know whether he brings
Would you
it
call
with
what
him.
Einstein did luck?
I don't complain about English schools anymore. I guess
I should say so. Number 1, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
My name is Jules Bond, and I work for the United States Information Agency in New York.
And number 3, may we have your real name and what you do, please?
My name is John Pope. I'm an editor at St. Martin's Book Publishing Company.
Well, we thank you, gentlemen. I'm sorry that they were so smart, because that means you take away less cash, but nonetheless, $100 does come your way to be divided with our thanks, and also that of Anison, their thanks as well, and a gift package of all the fine products made by the makers of Anison. Thank you so much, and hope you thoroughly enjoyed yourself. We enjoyed it having you here. Good night, and God bless you. For the record, I didn't mean to shortchange our acoustical experts, and if they can hear me wherever they are back there, it was $150 you won, not $100. So forgive the oversight. And now, panel, may I present our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Peg Bracken. My name is Peg Bracken.
My name is Peg Bracken.
Very well, panel. Will you follow along with me in your copies of this next affidavit? I, Peg Bracken, hate to cook. I also hate to keep house. I have written 2 books for women like me who are openly hostile to both the stove and the broom. My first is the I Hate to Cook book, which contains dozens of simple yet effective dishes which can be accomplished by practically anybody. I give recipes for sweep steak, fast rabbit, stay-a-bed stew, and simple burgers. My second book, the I Hate to Housekeep book, contains chapters entitled Stains, Spots, Blots, Scars, and Dueling Wounds, How to be Tight-Fisted Without Having It Show, and Don't Just Do Something, Sit There. Signed, Peg Bracken. Very well, panel. You heard these three charming ladies, all claiming to be the lady who doesn't like to cook or keep house, Peg Bracken, reluctant housewife, I guess you could call her. And we'd start with Sally Ann Howe. Sally Ann?
Thank you, Bud. Number one, I'm fascinated. What is a stay-a-bed stew? I want to make it.
Why, it's a stew that you can make in about 5 minutes, and the oven does the rest of the work for 9 hours while you leave the house.
I see. Number two, could you tell me the quickest dish in your book?
I would say the stay-a-bed stew.
Number three, could you tell me what takes out a wine stain?
Well,
if you spill it on a cloth.
Well, if I stain anything with wine, I just take it right to the cleaner.
Number two, could you answer? Number two, could you tell me?
I would send it to the cleaners, too.
Number one?
Likewise.
Oh, you sneaky things.
Abe Burrows.
This is frightening. A stay-a-bed stew I always thought was a drunk who never left the house. It's always been my definition. I don't see why I should change it now. Number one, what is the meat used in your stay-a-bed stew?
Chuck beef is fine. Any kind of cheap beef.
Number three, how do you start the stay-a-bed stew?
You add seasoning, put it in the oven with a lid, and go to bed.
Are we going to, is this how to sleep or how to cook? I hate to cook. Everybody goes to bed. Tell me, do you use wine in your stay-a-bed stew?
Number
one.
No.
Number two, what is the purpose of wine in cooking?
To enhance it flavor-wise.
Number three, what?
Kitty.
Number three, where do you run across dueling wounds?
Oh, well, that's just for laughs. That don't penny.
Nobody really needs that.
Nobody really needs it.
Number one, can you give me two definitions of galleys, a literary definition and a food definition?
The galley in a ship is where the food is prepared, and the galley, editorially speaking, is a long sheet of paper that you read proof on.
Thank you. Number two, who's your publisher?
My publisher is William Bonic.
Number three, how do you get away from vacuuming? I'm not fond of vacuuming either.
Well, I try to forget about it, but once in a while when you have to, you, I suppose, for 5 minutes of a long week you do, but I try to forget about it.
And it works?
Well, try to get somebody else to do it for you.
That's called a stay-a-bed vacuum.
Tom Poston.
Thank you. Number three, how do I get rid of excessive energy and work compulsions around the house? Number three.
Number three.
Ah, well, I would say sleep would be a wonderful thing for that.
Number two, Julius Whitman is a famous chef and an expert on cooking. Do you know the name of his book?
I do not.
Number one, do you happen to know that?
I don't.
Number three, did you ever hear of Julius Whitman?
No, I never have.
Well, it just goes to show you. Number one, there is such a thing as a plastic-lined frying pan. Do you know what that is?
Or you may be referring to the kind that you do not have to use any cooking fat in.
Maybe, and while it melts away simmering on the small burner on top of the stove, mark your balance, if you will, please, panel. Mark them right now and without delay and without change, of course. Obviously, no consultation is permitted, as before. And mark for number one, number two, or number three. All voting complete?
I think I'm fine.
All right. Have you voted, Sally Ann? Okay. Tom, for whom did you vote?
Well, I just casually voted for number one. I thought that her answers, while wry and amusing, were straightforward and full of fun.
Wry and amusing?
It's a stop on the New Haven.
It's
Sally Ann.
It's a drink, Rye and amusing. Did you ever have it?
Never did.
Well, I voted for number one. I was hoping that when I asked them about the wine stains, that they would all rush to put salt on it, because that was what I was told. It lifts it right out, but I couldn't catch them. But I have a sneaky feeling it may be number one.
Abe.
Here we go again. I voted for number 1 because when she said stay abed stew, she looked sick to her stomach.
And last but by no means least, Kitty.
I voted for number 1 because...
Oh, come on.
Because of her answer about the galleys. It was very succinct and very full, and I thought absolutely correct.
Keep wondering who the panel will be next week. You're getting too smart. All right, let's find out how smart. Either they stand or fall unanimously, and it could be interesting the other way as well. We'll learn right now which one of these ladies is the real reluctant housewife. So will the real Peg Bracken please stand up? Oh, boy, I'm telling you. This is a bright, bright panel. I don't know what to do with them. Thank you very much. Number 2, may we have your real name and what you really do?
My name is Mildred Edwards. I'm a choreographer and a dance teacher in Chicago.
And number 3, what is your real name and what do you do?
My real name is Louise Bushnell. I'm director of the Women's Department for the National Association of Manufacturers.
Oh, boy. No incorrect votes. $150 with our blessings, and we thank you so much for being bright and amusing, and I hope you all really like to cook a little bit, in spite of it. But from Anderson, $150, and from us, our thanks, and a gift package of all of Anderson's fine products on your way out. Good night to you, and God bless you. Now, may I present our third team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Ralph Hoover.
My name is Ralph Hoover.
My name is Ralph Hoover.
Will you follow along with your copies of this affidavit, panel, though I'm beginning to think you don't need any copies of affidavits. I, Ralph Hoover, am a professor of horseshoeing and blacksmithing. My classroom is not under a spreading chestnut tree, but rather under the roof of a huge barn outfitted with 16 blacksmith shops. My course lasts 12 weeks, and my students work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I teach the only college course in horseshoeing in the United States. Signed, Ralph Hoover. Here, panel, we have 3 stalwart gentlemen, each one claiming to be Ralph Hoover, professor of horseshoeing. And we start with the one member of our family here who might conceivably be interested in horseshoeing, Kitty Carlisle. Kitty.
What is that?
Thank you very much. Number 1, does a horse have a collarbone?
Yes.
Number 2, do you agree with that?
Yes, I
Number
do.
3?
Yes.
You do. Number 3, what are hocks?
They're on the hind leg of the horse.
Number 2, what are the withers?
The withers is the top part of the back legs.
Number 1, when a horse has the heaves, what has he got? Not the hives, the heaves. What has he got?
Pretty sick.
Number 2, who are your students?
Various people from all over the United States.
Do they come mostly from the West?
No.
No.
From all over.
Number 3, how fast can the average quarter horse run?
That I couldn't tell you.
Number 1, do you know?
Tom.
I think it's a great idea, Bud, because the art of blacksmithing might die out. I would like to find out from number 3 first where you learned to be a blacksmith.
I learned a trade in the Army during World War II and also at a college in Michigan that taught.
Well, there are other courses in this. Number 2, where did you learn, please?
Well, I started learning it when I was a boy on the farm. Basically, I took the course at the college where I teach now.
Oh, I see. Well, number 2, tell me something. When little kids' rubber tires fall off or break off of their little toys, how do you get them back on? Now, tell me, number 2, because I used to have my scooter go to the blacksmith shop all the time to get the tire put back on.
Well, this is very seldom done in the blacksmith shop now, but it's done mostly by soldering.
Thank you.
Sally Ann.
Thank you, Bud. Number 1, do you do anything to the hoof before you put the shoe on?
Oh, sure.
Could you tell me what it is?
You trim it. You trim the walls
Thank you.
and the bottom.
Number 2, can you tell me how many nails are in a shoe?
8.
8. Number 3, do you agree with that?
That's right.
Number 1?
Right.
Oh, we have 4 in England. Oh, dear. That's going to be of a great help. Number 1, can you tell me how much does it weigh?
Abe.
You are, yes. Give it to you. It's a lovely question.
How much does what weigh, the horse?
The shoe.
Who cares what the shoe weighs?
I do.
No. I don't want to get stuck with your question. All right. Number 3, how much does a horseshoe weigh?
The average saddle horse, about 1 pound per shoe.
Number 1, what's the shoe made out of?
Mild steel, normally.
Number 2, is any other metal used for horseshoes?
Use aluminum on race horses.
Number 3.
Steel and aluminum.
All right. Number 3, when a horse loses a shoe while running, what do you say he's doing? What's the phrase?
Cast shoe.
Number 1, what would you...
That's it. Time for you now to take your hammers and anvils and pound out your ballots. If you'll do so right now.
I think it's a very odd combination to have a horse with stay-a-bed stew.
Stay-a-bed shoe. All right. Mark your ballots right now and without change, because it's time for you to do that now without consultation also, and vote as you do for number 1, number 2, or number 3. All set? All ballots marked?
Well, we're not all together.
With finality? Okay. Tom, which one this time?
I'm just going to take a chance. Number 2, I thought I caught in a mistake, of all things. I doubt very much if a guy that's that good at a blacksmithing wouldn't have had something to do with it in his ute. So I'm guessing number 1 did.
Sally Ann.
Well, I've broken the spell. Number 2 I voted for. And because he seemed to know so much about the horse racing. And number 3 said it weighed 1 pound, a shoe. I never thought it weighed that much. So I voted for number 2.
Abe?
Maybe he meant it cost 1 pound. I voted for number 3 because he knew about casting a shoe. I've heard that phrase, and that's the phrase, and unless I'm crazy, number 3.
Kitty.
I voted for number 3. I'm with you. I thought he looked like a man who served in the army where there was still cavalry. Was the cavalry gone by World War II? Well, it was still there when I was around. So I voted for number 3.
All right, boy, when you split your unanimity, you do it high, wide, and handsome, don't you, huh? Wow. 1, 2, 3, 3. Okay, let's see how close we come this time. Or who does, I should say. Because being split, that gives us a different flavor, at least, as we learn which one of these gentlemen is the real horseshoeing professor. So will the real Ralph Hoover please stand up? Did you? Well, you know, so did Abe. He got all 3, too. Well, better for you this time. Let's find out about the others. So number 1, what is your real name and what do you really do?
Jerry Moreland. I sell diesel engines for Cummins Engine Company.
And number 2, may I have your name and what you really do, please?
Bob Thornton, I'm a Methodist minister.
Gentlemen, well, here we are, and we find this time, for the first time in a long time now, there were 2 incorrect votes at $250 each. That's not too bad for an evening's fun, and we hope you had that. That's $500 from Anison and a gift package of the fine products from the makers of Anison. Thank you very much for being with us. Good night, and God bless you all. We have signed you all up for stupid school to kind of slow you down a little bit. You're just too smart, but I love you. Good night to you.
Good night, Bud.
And good night to all of you. Bud Collier saying good night for Anison and reminding you not to fail to join us next week at this time. And tomorrow I'll see you in the afternoon show. And in the meantime, may I tell you once again to tell the truth. Good night.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. Truth has been brought to you by Anacin to relieve headache pain, fight depression, and calm jittery nerves. Johnny Olson saying goodnight from To Tell the Truth. This program was pre-recorded.